Hey guys, Spud here, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're here on the Growling Sidewinder public multiplayer server to take a look at some of the new additions that came with the latest DCS World update to the DTC interface system for the A-18C Hornet and F-16C Viper. Now, these changes to the DTC system are absolutely game-changing when it comes to multiplayer, and particularly multiplayer on public servers like the Growling Sidewinder server here. That's because these new changes allow us to pre-plan our missions in the DCS World Mission Editor and then save a DTC cartridge, pop into your favorite multiplayer server, load your DTC cartridge into your aircraft, and boom, you're ready to go with your pre-planned mission on your favorite server. So today's video is going to be a bit of a cursory and quick and dirty look at these new additions to the DTC interface, but if you guys would like me to go more in depth on anything, please let me know in the comment section down below, and we will definitely do so. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and get started. Okay guys, like I said in the intro to this video, we're here on the very populated Growling Sidewinder server because I think you guys that like to enjoy those public multiplayer servers are going to get the absolute most out of the DTC interface system that has recently come to DCS. And of course today we'll be going over a lot of the new additions that have come to the DTC interface for the FA-18 and F-16. Now, for today, our subject is going to be a hot-started FA-18 here on the ramp and ready to rock and roll. So in order to actually open up the DTC interface, you have to be on the ground, or if you're doing an air start, you have to open up the DTC interface before you actually spawn into that air-started jet. Well, and it looks like an F-15 is taken off. A couple of F-15s taken off to go do some BVR combat here. And so to open up that interface, all we need to do is open up the radio menu, go over to the ground crew, and then hit the F9 DTC interface, and then the show button here. And of course we're able to access it because we are on the ground, like I just said a few seconds ago. Now up top here, you're going to have a drop-down list of available DTCs that are hard-coded into the mission file itself. And we can see here there are none. But that's not a problem. We can either make a brand new one down here in these the rest of this window, or we can load a DTC that we've already created in the DCS Mission Editor and then bring it with us to any multiplayer server we want to join. So in order to load up a previously saved DTC, all we need to do is hit the File button up here, Import, and then navigate to where you save your DTCs. I saved them in my missions folder. We can see DTC folder here. And then I just have a standard DTC that has all of my favorite countermeasures programs and things like that in it. So we just hit OK. And imported DTC contains navigation data from a different map location. That data has not been imported. That is no problem. But if we go down to our countermeasures tab here, we can see that my favorite countermeasures programs are already set and ready to go. Now, for the new stuff that recently came to the DTC interface with the latest update is going to be adding and changing waypoints, route sequences, and TACAN stations. For the most part, most of you guys are going to be up here in the waypoints and route sequences settings. So up here, we can go ahead and start to add some waypoints. We're going to uncheck the Do Not Upload tab data. With this unchecked, the data that we set for the DTC will override any waypoints, things like that, that have already been added into the mission file by the mission maker. So we'll go ahead and hit add, and I'm just going to make a bit of a nonsensical flight plan here, so that way we can get a good visual of it on our HSI once we hop back to the cockpit. So for our first set of waypoints, let's add them to the direct north here. I'm just kind of make a bit of a staggered sort of line here. And then for our next sequence of waypoints, we'll go ahead and come down over to the east, and we'll kind of do the same over here. Again, this is just a very nonsensical set of waypoints. It's not meant to be an actual flight plan. It's just here to show you guys what we're talking about. And then for sequence 3, we'll kind of pop them over here, just kind of do the same sort of zigzag pattern over here to the south and west. Now, once we have a bunch of waypoints set, we can either just fly through all of these waypoints as just a standard flight plan like you'd normally make in the mission editor for your flight, or we can set these into individual sequences. So let's go ahead and do that. On this long list of our waypoints here, we have some checkboxes labeled R1, R2, and R3. This is for route or sequence 1, 2, and 3 respectively. So for the first couple waypoints, we'll set these guys to route 1 or sequence 1, and we can see a little bit of a line here as connected these guys, so that way we can visually see which waypoints are in which sequence. And then for the next waypoint, we'll start to add in these waypoints for our next sequence. And then for sequence 3, we'll do the same once again. And we can see on the map here, the different connecting lines between the waypoints are 3 different colors to make it visually pretty easy to see where your sequences are. We can also add additional offset aim points. This is going to be really important if, say, you have a bunch of different little targets around a waypoint that you want your pilots to hit or that you would like to hit, such as attacking an airfield with lots of little airplanes scattered all around, things of that nature. Then we can come over to settings here and we can adjust some various settings. So we can adjust whether we want to spawn into our jet or have automatically set once we start up our aircraft if we're not spawning into a hot start, whether we want the TACAN to be in transmit receive, or air to air. So to change that, let's go to transmit receive on TACAN channel 76 X-ray, and we'll go ahead and set it to have the TACAN on. Our air-to-air waypoint, which is essentially setting in our jet where the bullseye is in the mission file, is going to be automatically set to waypoint 59, like it has been set since the FA-18 released practically. And we can also have a checkbox here that says the waypoint is enabled, so now you don't have to go in and manually set waypoint 59 as your air-to-air waypoint. And of course there is the scroll down list here, so we can manually set whatever waypoint we want as the bullseye. We can of course also change the ICLS channel, and we can also change that FPAS home waypoint now, which is really interesting and really nice because that's going to help us avoid some of those nuisance fuel warnings, so that way we can say pop the FPAS home waypoint to a waypoint that's downstream, maybe at a tanker track, so that way the jet knows, hey, you're not going to be running out of gas because you're going to be hitting a tanker on the way home or on the way out to your strike. We can also change our altitude warning settings. These can be really nice because these can be a bit of an annoyance if you're flying, say, a nap of the Earth flight to fly under the radar to hit a target. Then we've got our ACLS settings and whatnot there as well. Next, coming down for our route sequences, we can actually see the waypoints that are set for our individual sequence. We've got route sequence 1, 2, and 3 that we set on the previous panel over here. Oh, there we go. And then we can add additional stuff to it. We can change around which waypoints are actually part of which sequence and whatnot. And we can add whether or not a specific waypoint is a target point. And that will automatically shift our jet over to say, snapping your air-to-ground radar or snapping your targeting pod directly to a particular waypoint once it is selected on your HSI or SA page. So there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff you can also do here with TOTs that I think most people aren't really going to bother with too much, but it is still very cool that it's here, and it makes things a lot more realistic, obviously. You can also set some preset TACAN stations, so you can say I want to make sure that I have the TACAN station at Kutazi automatically set and ready to go in a pre-listed set of waypoints, or TACAN stations, things of that nature. You can, of course, adjust your radio frequencies here for your preset channels for COM 1 and 2, and then, of course, come down and change up your CMDS, your countermeasures programs, things like that, as well as how your ASPJ, as well as automatic countermeasures dispensing works with specific threats that you can set here as well, which is very interesting and very cool. I think most people still go with manual countermeasures dispensing though, which is probably the way to go. All right, so once we've got this all set and we are ready to rock and roll, all we need to do is hit the load button up top, and we should be set and ready to go in the cockpit. So we'll go ahead and close the DTC interface, come back to the cockpit here. We're going to go up to the MUMI page, and we're going to have the aircraft load our TACAN, our waypoints, and our countermeasures that we've already set and then loaded into the MUMI. We'll come over to our HSI, and we'll take a look at our various waypoints here. We can see that we definitely have a bunch of waypoints set now, and we don't have to plug these in manually. And then interestingly, we can also take a look at those various sequences that we set as well. So if we hit sequence 1, we can see that little jagged line there that we set for sequence 1. Coming over to sequence 2, we set that little jagged line over there, and then sequence 3 over here. Now, this can be really useful for if you are jumping into a server or you're jumping into a mission, and maybe you have a couple of different things that you may be assigned to do by, say, a Taxi 2, and you need to have essentially 3 different missions set and ready to go for your navigation. And so this will allow you to swap back and forth between essentially 3 different flight plans very, very easily. Now, let's say that you're set up for sequence 1, and you'll notice that you cannot select additional waypoints outside of sequence 1. This goes for the same on sequence 2 here, and of course sequence 3 as well. You cannot scroll past the waypoints set for those sequences. Now let's say you want to just fly the whole set of waypoints as an entire single flight plan. You just need to make sure that sequence is unboxed down here on the bottom right, and you'll be able to fly through all of those waypoints that we set into the DTC, no problem. And then we can also see here on our TACAN that it is preset to 76 X-ray, and it is already on, so that's pretty cool there. And this is just a really awesome way to set up your F-18 or your F-16 exactly the way you want it when you're jumping into, say, one of these public multiplayer servers. And even cooler, guys, is you can go into the DCS World Mission Editor and set up your own DTC and have your mission completely pre-planned before you even hop into a multiplayer server. And that way you can just load your DTC, be set up and ready to go, start up your jet, and go and fly your pre-planned mission. Pretty darn cool. All right, last thing we can take a look at here is going over to our EW. If we turn on our ALE47 system and it finishes its bit, we'll also be able to see that all of our countermeasures programs were already preset as well. Hit mode, ARM, and we can see here program 1 is already set to my favorite type of program here. We'll step over to man 5, and we can see that, yep, once again, our favorite program is already preset and ready to go. So I know this was kind of a quick and dirty little intro to the DTC system here in DCS, guys. If there's anything else you'd like me to dig into further and in more detail, please do let me know in the comment section down below. This is an absolutely awesome addition to DCS that makes these public multiplayer servers a heck of a lot more usable, as well as a lot more fun because you can pre-plan your missions. So if you liked the video, please leave a like and a subscribe, and Fly safe out there, as always, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.